In the previous instalment, I sat down with Killer, the star of the Tower Block Dreams documentary on pirate radio and former owner of Y2K, a pirate radio station from Essex in the early 2000s. Today, in the final episode, we'll be going through lots more stories from the mid-2000s pirate radio scene in London and Essex and exploring the world of pirate radio wars and the theft of thousands of transmitters. Y2K, there's Y2K and there's a yours truly rave. So, in the end, long story short, you and Beats split, didn't you? So he took the rave, you took the
He
pirate
took the
station.
Raven up at the station, yeah.
So how long did the station carry on then? So we're in 2004. Tower Block Dreams just been released. How long did the station go on after that?
After Tower Block Dreams, yeah, some guy rang me up, yeah, and he was like, "Listen, mate, my pal wants to buy your radio station." I said, "Does he now?" I said, "Has he got, how much cash has he got?" And then he said the amount of cash, and I was like, "Well, you tell your mate to come down and see me when he's got that cash." Now I'm thinking this is all bullshit at this time, yeah. Big up DJ Breeze, yeah, that's the guy who rang me, yeah. And obviously he weren't called Breeze because he was a fast runner, so that's all I'll say. But Breeze, yeah, I just thought he ain't gonna come, and then 2 hours later he phoned me. He's like, "We'll be at your house in 20 minutes." So next minute, this guy's at my house with an amount of money that was good enough to buy the station.
Yeah.
So he bought the station, the frequency and the name. I took the money. 2 months later, no, about 2 weeks later, I was in jail for 2 months. When I was in jail for 2 months, a week before I was coming out, someone went, "Killer!" I was like, "Yeah." He went, "Someone's on your frequency, mate." So I've tuned in. This is in HMP Chelmsford. They was on called Format. They was on my frequency. They changed the name, didn't keep Y2K.
Right.
By the time I got out of jail, they'd been raided by Peter Gooding and they never came back on.
Right.
So I just, like knowing now myself how hot the frequency was, I was like, I'm not going to go on that frequency because it's going to be associated with me. So I just came back on under a different name, under a different station. So I was off air for about 2 to 3 months.
Right.
Then obviously there was no one on air, and it was just like 100 DJs waiting to come on. So I was like, "Well, hey, we're back on, boys."
What was the new station called?
At that time, it was called Deja Essex.
Right.
I was doing it with Deja Vu. So
Right.
it was Deja Vu Essex.
Okay. So when did you last run a pirate radio station then? When was the line in the sand from pirate radio for you?
Well, that is a good question. I can't. It was that long ago. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what the line in the sand for me was. What you got to remember is, yeah, in pirate radio, the whole time I was in it, the way I made money from pirate radio wasn't through DJs or MCs or raves. It was from stealing transmitters and extorting people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So basically, one day I went out to steal transmitters. I hadn't been out for about 3 weeks. Yeah, everyone, yeah, was just making it so much harder to steal their transmitters that had gone from taking like 10 minutes to now taking an hour and a half. You've got to now, this is the level it's gone to. Before I was turning up with a DeWalt angle grinder, cutting a D-lock and walking off.
Yeah.
Now we've got 3 separate poles, and one of the poles is an extendable telescopic pole, right? Because people were jacking in on car shoots, on bin shoots with car jacks, 20 foot down. So we're now having to send angle grinders on a pole with a torch taped on it, 20 foot down to cut out chub locks, then another pole to undo it. Then we're having to, it was all, bro, do you know what I mean?
So
and it got to the point where you was risking getting arrested because you're doing all this noise. So what happened was someone wanted to buy a frequency and some equipment, yeah? So I went and sold them the frequency and equipment, and I looked at it and I went, this is what I'm leaving pirate radio with, this measly few grand. I said, it's been emotional and I moved on, bro. And I never went back to it ever again.
Yeah.
And everyone thought he'll be back in a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. They're all on the forums. He's in jail. He's doing life. When it got to a year, once it got to a year or 2 years of me not stealing transmitters, people were, and not heard anywhere, people were on pirate radio forums going, he's serving life in jail. It's the only way.
Yeah.
Like he would be robbing everyone otherwise, because I was that prolific and there was no money left in it, bro. And I'd gone from earning thousands a week to struggling to earn 400 or 500 a week.
How many pirate rigs would you say you've stolen?
Thousands.
Really?
Thousands.
So where's the furthest you've been to nick a pirate radio?
I'd say Leeds.
Because
Leeds
I'm
or
guessing you were doing this every day.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2-3 days in a row, just sleeping 2 hours in a car after I've nicked the transmitter at a Premier Inn car park. We'd drive past our houses and we'd all have showers. It was weird, bro. We'd be like, right, we'll go and rob this station here because then we can go past yours. Then we'll rob them. We'll go past. It was mental, bro.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was 3-4 of us in a car robbing stations for like 3-4 days. Everyone's missus ringing their phones, batteries dead, no car chargers. Mental, bro. It was mental.
So how did you track these? Were you just going off getting a strong signal and then looking up at blocks for antennas, or what?
Nah, man, we was high tech, and also it weren't that we was high tech. We could track it on a Ford stereo. We could track a transmitter to anywhere just on a Ford stereo. Because what you do is take the Ford stereo aerial out, take the aerial out of the back of the car. We'd already know what area every transmitter's from. You know what I mean? The best part of it was, I'll tell you the truth, how many transmitters I got from doing this. Log on to the forum, Radio Next, people would just be like, oh, I've just heard a station in Rochester, 45 dBs, and all that. You'd be like, oh, well, it's just there then. We'll just pop down Rochester and take the aerial out. Perfect.
Yeah.
People would just unwittingly tell us where they was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or stations would go out there and post up, we're a new station transmitting from the West Midlands region. You're in Birmingham, mate. Do you know what I mean? You're in 4 parts of Birmingham. We've narrowed it down. We've moved on. We'll see you soon. We know there's 10 other stations in Birmingham. We'll nick all them while we're there. We'll leave the 2 that people know on and we'll move. The only stations we left on was people that knew people, or people that was all right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So were you ever caught in the act of by another station of stealing their rig? Did anyone ever
Several times.
So, I
was caught by Raw FM, the original Raw FM, who I knew lived on my street. I didn't notice them. I was robbed them by mistake. Come down to the car park and they was all there.
Right.
I was with DJ Slip from Charge FM. He's had to leg it. Like, it was a situation where, boom, he's legged it. I couldn't get out, and then they whipped out the old dagger and chased me around the car a few times. Someone in the tower blocks looking out called the police. The police come, nicked me because I was driving on a band, and that was it. But then after that, I had to pay them a couple of rigs and that. They lived around my area. It was Boss Man and Park. That they were serious people around Camden. The person who found Charlie Sloth and the person who found Lady Dynamite, it was them, and he was a serious guy around Camden. His family were serious people. I had to go to Sting at Deja Vu, pay him money to make a phone call to sort it out. Because originally, when I done it, they was like, "We want half your station," and I was like,
"I
only own half my station. I can't give you that, mate." So I ended up having to pay him off a few transmitters and that.
So where was the weirdest place you found a rig?
Wait a second, I want to go back as well. I also got caught at Point Blank FM by 30 of them. Point 5 stations caught me. I'd robbed the other 4, and then they knew I was going to rob Point Blank. So obviously they was in the same area. So when we was on the roof, we needed to come down to get something from the car. There was 4 of us. Again, me and Slick come down. 30 of them were weapons there. But the difference between all these stations was these were all in Berkshire, and these were all like public school boys and that. And they will tell you the story themselves. So I'm not lying, mate. We just blagged them, and they all shit themselves and let us walk off, mate. They all had weapons. We had nothing. They had Biddle was there, who I'd robbed 30 rigs off. They'd all watched Tower Block Dreams. They all knew who I was, and I just walked off, got in the car, drove off. Then they rang me on private number saying, "We know it's you," and all this, and chased us and bricked the back window. But I have been caught a good few times.
Yeah.
But every time I've been caught, other times I've had weapons or knives, and people have just run off. I've been caught by Point Blank's mates, 927, in their tree, loads of different ones. So the strangest place I've ever found a transmitter, trees in the middle of nowhere, on a castle, an abandoned mansion. A lamppost in Stanmore, Lush FM, and they greased all the lamppost with all black paint so you couldn't climb up it.
Right.
Loads of weird ones. People put transmitters in weird places, bro. A pylon, I've seen them on pylons.
Right. So
yeah,
a castle. Where was that? What?
That was in Kent, somewhere in Kent, like on a derelict castle. Like it had a fort, bro.
That's crazy. And what about
It
the
was
mansion?
the mansion was in Elstree near
Right,
EastEnders.
right,
It was an abandoned mansion. I think it was a station called Shocking FM 1056,
right.
like a West London sort of station, borderline out West London, Watford,
Yeah.
Hertfordshire. They
It's
was
mad
on
how
the
you can remember the frequencies as well. I
yeah, I
thought,
know that's weird,
yeah,
isn't it? I
like
can't
normal.
remember my missus's birthday, but I can remember radio frequencies. It's
Yeah.
mad, bro.
Do you ever get tempted to switch a rig back on?
Yeah, of course you do.
And what's
You're
stopping
just
you?
driving on some mad hill somewhere. I was driving the other day in Bradford on this hill, and I was like, I looked, yeah, and it was like this PowerPoint, a big 200 million foot tree. I was like, whoo! But yeah, you do, don't you? But I don't know, man. I still got that thing when I drive and I see tower blocks. I'm like
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
up, thinking, is
yeah.
there a
I'm
fucking
exactly the same.
aerial up there?
Yeah, yeah. So do you think you ever will?
Someone asked me that, and you just don't know, bro, do you? Like, how do I know that one day I'm not going to own a house on a hill? Of
Yeah.
course, if I own a house on a hill, then I'm going to buy a 500-watt transmitter, bang a 40-foot double stack in my garden, and switch it on at 8 p.m. every night.
Well, let me ask you it in a different way. So, for those who don't know, now you live up north, sort of between Manchester and Leeds. If you were back in London or Essex, do you think you would have a station back on? Because there's
If I was
more.
living in London now, yeah, I would 1 trillion% have a station on autoplay, just playing drill and taking money to put drill mixtapes on because drill's
Yeah,
the reason no one's got a brain cell in pirate
there's no
radio,
drill
bro.
stations in at all.
There's never been a drill station, and you'd make an absolute killing from all these drill. You just leave it on 24-hour loop,
Yeah,
put it on like thieves ain't about, DTI ain't about. You move on, man. You collect your money and you move on every month.
I did a
Yeah,
band scan
there
around
is.
London.
There's a lot of Jamaican, Turkish, African.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? They're gonna always stay on, bro, because that community of people, they'll always listen to it. All the people who listen to them Kurdish stations, they think they're legit licensed
yeah.
stations. Bro.
When I was scanning around, there was probably 4 or 5 garage drum and bass stations in
Yeah.
central London, which is a shame, but it's. I
I
think them
think
days.
Vision FM is still on. That's the main one. I think Live FM is still on 875. There's a few good stations that are like reputable names are still on, but I reckon like they're still going to be struggling for like revenue. They're just doing it now for more love than
Yeah,
anything else, I think.
yeah. I was sat on a footbridge near the Excel Centre near the Docklands in London with little radio in the summer, just having a scan round, and yeah, there was still, like I say, still loads on, but not much in the way of garage drum and bass now. But yeah,
There'll be. I drove through Halsden about 2 months ago, and there was still people transmitting off shops and houses around there, and that.
yeah. There's still a few in Birmingham. I logged about 7 in Birmingham the other week as well.
Yeah, there's there. Birmingham's one of the places it won't die, and there'll always be like a core of a few of the drum and bass garage house heads who will come back after every few years, sort of thing. Yeah, there's always like there's a Mix FM, there's a Distinct FM. Them sort of people, they just love it. They'll always come back on eventually.
So probably my last question for you then is, obviously a lot of people have seen you in Tower Block Dreams. Quite a lot of people saw you in your interview with the Central Club. What's one thing you want people watching this to know about you?
That's quite a good question.
Yeah.
I'm just a normal guy. I'm the same as everyone else, isn't it? I'm just a little bit council scum. But I'm a normal guy. I'm a family guy. I've got 6 kids. I live with 2 of my daughters. I've got another daughter on the way who's going to be born in the next 48 hours. I've got a fiance. I've got 2 dogs. I'm just a normal guy. Well, as normal as can get in 2020. It's like another thing is like obviously people see a perception of you on a program like that and they think,
yeah,
this guy's mental. And to be honest, I was mental back then, but I don't think I was any worse than other people. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Like, I knew a lot of people in that scene, and a lot of people in that scene who was like the same sort of temperament as me, and some of them were good guys and some of them weren't. Like there was some people like, do you know Crazy Titch? He got life in jail. He was a decent lad, man. I knew him. He was a good lad. There was a lot of people from that scene, and they get bad publicity, and it was just where we're from and the way that we was infused with the badder lads from the estate
Yeah.
at a young age. But we came from good backgrounds, good
Yeah.
good morals and good backgrounds.
What we said before as well, which wasn't in the documentaries. You were 21 at the time, and when they got in touch, your dad had literally just passed away. So you weren't in you know.
No, I was in a bad place. I shouldn't have really been doing any documentaries. But like I said, you're 21, your testosterone, ego, everything all added up, and I was like, yeah, like, and it was like, also what you got to remember is when you're going around with someone filming you and all that, there's no way that any human's not going to get a buzz from it. Of course you
Yeah,
are, man.
yeah,
It makes you feel like, oh, why are they filming me, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So that makes it a lot worse as well, because obviously when you're 21, it's not a good time for you to control them emotions. You go with the flow. Now I look back and I can't change it, and I probably wouldn't change it anyway, because it's a part of who I am, and now I can look back and educate my kids not to do them same things. You know what I mean?
and that's fair enough. Okay, well,
So,
Killer, it's been really good chatting to you. Some really good stories about pirate radio, and yeah, thanks for coming on.
God bless, bro. I appreciate you having me on, and thanks to all the listeners and viewers for watching it.
So, another interesting look at the world of pirate radio in London and Essex 2 decades ago. I have to say a big thanks to Killer, which of course isn't a name he goes by nowadays, for taking the time to sit down for a couple of hours and tell me all these stories.